Phoenix 911, where's your emergency?
I'm at the 35th in Glendale, and there is a running car with a person passed out in it.
Put it in park now. Hey!
Wake up, America. It's the Comm Center with Drew Breezy. I'm John. I'm an actual 911 dispatcher. I've been doing the job about 10 years with Drew Breezy, who has 30 years of experience.
Play the 911 call. We'll talk about it. And there we go.
Hello, I'm Sergeant Rob Scheer with the Phoenix Police Department's Public Affairs Bureau of an officer-involved shooting that occurred on May 22nd, 2023. This incident occurred in the area of 19th Avenue and Phelps Drive when Phoenix police contacted a woman who had previously refused to stop during a lawful traffic stop. This incident originally began in the area of 35th Avenue and Glendale Avenue when Phoenix police received a call about a woman who was unresponsive inside of a running vehicle in a nearby parking lot. Here is a portion of the 911 call.
Phoenix 911, where's your emergency?
I'm at the 35th in Glendale, and there is a running car with a person passed out in it. I knocked on her window, and she's not responding, not waking up.
Two officers responded to the...
All right. Is that not the most typical, do you not get that call at least once a month, maybe more often?
I would say yes. It's getting more and more typical. It's sort of frustrating because this is one of those situations where people generally don't do what I would do. Is like on this call today, I asked, "Is the guy alive? Could you tell?" I don't know. I'm not getting that close to him. What if he's got a gun? It's all legitimate. And the caller got mad at me. I'm just like, listen, yeah, I got you. There's no reason for you to put yourself in danger. And he goes, yeah, that's your job. And I'm like, I get it. Like, you don't have to do that. Thank you for letting me know. I appreciate you even gave me the license plate. All very helpful. But it's frustrating, especially as a 911 dispatcher, because it could be anything. Even I've taken a nap in a car before. On the other hand, some people can be passed out drunk, which, then we've got them on a DUI. Someone could be having a diabetic emergency. I had a seizure while driving one time. It could be that someone has overdosed on fentanyl and expired. Depending on where this is happening, maybe they also expired by way of self-inflicted injury. I mean, could be anything. And how recent is it? And is it too late? Should we put an ambulance going? Should we just not bother them because they're volunteers going to a guy just taking a nap and have a police officer knock on the window? Is it a consensual encounter? Those happen quite a bit too. I could tell you that happened in my last week. Not to me, but whilst I was at work, we had a call that for a suspicious vehicle where it was just, two drug lovers in love, so with each other and with drugs, and just enjoying a romantic night at the industrial park.
They were in love with each other and with drugs.
And with drugs at the industrial park, which is where I always used to go on my dates when I was 35 and the girl was 18.
I did a news hit for local news after we had an officer involved shooting one time, and I said, these drug deals they happen in a Wendy's parking lot where there are a lot of people. They don't happen down at the wharf or in the, in the shipbuilding warehouses like you see in the movies.
Docks.
Right. People love drugs and they love industrial parks.
They like mixing up their fentanyl and their Frosty. No big deal.
Right. It's just the way it goes. So, yeah, this is a quite very frequent call that we would get as law enforcement officers. It's something I would get as a 911 dispatcher. It's something I experience as on the other side of this. That story has been widely told. If you ever want to find a podcast where I talk about exactly what happened in my career that set me back a couple of years. I
love that story where they ripped the stripe right off of your sleeve.
Yeah, definitely right. And they broke the scabbard, broke the sword right in half.
It was like the intro to Branded, but it was you.
Yes. Yeah, it was. So, at any rate, that's where we're at so far. The 911 call is very brief. It's how it always begins, though. It always begins with the 911 call. So let's let's see where it goes from here. I mean, innocuous enough. This is another, to John's story, to John's point earlier, like, holy crow. I mean, you couldn't get a more mundane call. And then look, the little foreshadowing here. This does not end in a mundane way.
The woman was not responsive, but appeared to wake up as officers were in the parking lot. She was given commands to put the vehicle in park. She did not comply and instead drove out of the parking lot. Here is the body-worn camera footage from one of the officers who made the initial contact with the woman.
Oh, she's waiting.
For those listening, the officer approached. It's his body cam, or it's his partner's body cam, but an officer approached, hand on gun. There's a dog walking around the back. Does not look like Dana whatsoever. But the first thing he says is, "Oh, she's awake," meaning, okay, we have a different set of circumstances now. She's in a running vehicle. You can see her headlights are shining against the cement wall in front of her, whether they're daytime running lights or not. And you'll be able to hear the engine unless it's like an electric car, and people don't sleep in electric cars. We know that. But so he approaches with hand on gun and says, "Oh, she's awake." And you could see her, I think, cell phone up there.
Put it in park. Put it in park now. Hey.
So now comes the negotiation. Put it in park. It's, ask, tell, make, but she's in a locked car. I mean, I think I would have tried to convince her to let the dog put it in park, or, you know what I mean? But she's already starting to back out, by the way. She's starting to move her vehicle. So this is no longer just a person in physical control asleep at the wheel. This is now somebody moving who has actively decided to not follow the commands of the officers. Very slow roll away. I mean,
and that's the end, folks.
So then I look too. There's still headlights beaming against that wall. So maybe that was their headlights, but you could see her headlights are on and her taillights are on. So she's just very casually driving away, and he's very casually getting in his patrol vehicle.
Officers followed the vehicle and attempted to make a traffic stop. The vehicle pulled over in a nearby apartment complex. The driver was given multiple commands to turn the vehicle off and throw the keys out of the car. The woman did not comply with any of these commands and again took off from officers. Here is body-worn camera footage from the traffic stop.
Put the key outside your window.
The Phoenix Police helicopter was overhead and followed the car for about 15 minutes until it was in the area of 19th Avenue and Phelps Drive. This is where officers with the Tactical Support Bureau immobilized the vehicle. Once the vehicle was stopped, officers positioned themselves around the vehicle. Officers gave multiple commands for the woman to show her hands and turn off the car. The woman did not comply. The woman produced an object perceived to be a handgun and pointed it at an officer. This is when multiple officers discharged their firearms. After the shooting, the woman was ordered to show her hands. She did not fully comply. An officer deployed 2 rounds from a 40mm launcher at the driver's window to remove the glass, giving officers a clearer view of the woman.
Once you have somebody unpredictable behind the wheel and you drop in a little bit more unpredictability because you're trying to catch up to them and you've got red and blue lights and now their attention is divided even more, are you actually increasing the risk to the other drivers on the road by trying to stop this vehicle as opposed to just following it maybe, or optimally, like in this situation, having the helicopter follow it while you just stay back at a safe distance, and then you can approach when it stops.
You gotta just follow them, I mean, because we don't know at any point they could jam on that accelerator. Is that when you break it off, or like how fast is too fast? If they're doing 10 over, is a neighborhood? Is it how much of that does it figured in? What will be the breaking point for you?
You if you want, are you asking me from an administrator / supervisory position?
Yeah, I don't want to know from what young Captain Action Drew would do when it was like your 3rd year on patrol. I want to know.
Yeah, because that, like, the only thing you can do in that instance is answer the questions that are being asked of you, and they're usually being asked by somebody like me.
What's the
And I
speed?
want to know what the speed is, the weather conditions, the traffic conditions. I want to know, stuff like that. Like, are you in a rural area? Are you on the interstate? And it's very important to know what the charge is, because if it's not a forcible felony and it's somebody that we haven't identified or they're not identifiable, like you don't have their tag, even if it's a stolen car, we still might be able to identify them once we recover the car, because we can do the latent processing of the vehicle. Speed has no factor in the definition of a pursuit. In my agency where I worked, there is a definition of what a pursuit is, and either it's a pursuit or it's not. There's no like threshold of 30 miles an hour and over. And you're right. That is what is going to happen. And here's a tip for the young officers out there. Your demeanor on the radio and your breath control and your situational awareness and your ability to follow instructions definitely make the decision quicker or slower. But if the guy's having a conniption, or the young lady is like, just, she's sounds like Chinese math on the radio. Yeah, we're not, you're not in the right headspace to do this, and you're going to get hurt. And that's the main thing. We don't want you to get hurt. We don't want you to hurt anybody else. We kind of care about the person in the car in front of you because it's a liability issue, but and they're kind of taking that on themselves. But they're driving a weapon at that point, and they could take out a kid, playing hopscotch on the side of the road. We were playing a very expensive and dangerous game of cops and robbers. It's literally cops and robbers. So sometimes the robbers win, and you're going to have to get over that. Your career is going to last 30 years. You're definitely going to see some victories, and you're going to see some defeats.
How many cars did you destroy on patrol?
At once, or
your total kill number?
Let me see your hands. Let me see your hands. Do it now. Do it now. Turn off the car. Turn off the car. Turn off the car.
Just a situational awareness thing. I want to point out to everybody who's not a cop. Your adrenaline is coursing through your veins, first of all, because you're in this non-pursuit pursuit. The helicopter is overhead. The dog is barking. There's probably a dog in her car barking. You're screaming at her to, show her hands. You don't know what she's got, and you're pissed. And this is where America is like, I don't understand why you guys are so brutal and rough. And it's not intentional sometimes. It's just they get over their skis. Like it's not even like trying to you try like going back down to zero from here. Like you try it. Your police radio is going off. Your cell phone might be buzzing in your pocket. You got your body cam to worry about. You got a helicopter overhead. You got 2 dogs. You got a lady who, for whatever reason, is not stopping. She's not listening to you. Come to find out, they see something black in the car that they're a little suspect about. It's just about nightfall, so you're about to lose vision. There's 1,000 things that you're talking about and trying to, that are going through your mind. So, it's definitely a lot easier on Instagram than it is in real life. So that's why I'll fiercely defend the cops.
Turn up, get your hands up.
Oh no. Now, for you audio listeners, we are not playing Galaga right now.
Show me your fucking hands!
It's funny in a sense that we have to use
but we're allowed to say the F word.
right? We have to use lasers.
It was funny. I was listening to Elon Musk on Rogan the other day, and he was talking about how, you could get on YouTube, and if you refer to Caitlyn Jenner by his proper or his former legal name, you are deplatformed forever. But you can refer to Caitlyn Jenner using the C word and it's fine. YouTube doesn't even notice that. So yeah, we're not allowed to play the sounds of a small explosion. We're not allowed to play that, but fucking's fine.
Right. Give me your fucking hands. Yeah. We're screwed.
Show me your hands!
But by the way, just to drive this point home, because I didn't use the proper sound, but each one of those little needle laser things you heard was an actual shot. I matched it up to the shots. You could see the visual. There was one officer that, I put his shots in yellow. There were 4 shots there. There was about 8 or 9 shots with another officer. Then there was another officer that came around with a shotgun. Then there was another officer that had a 40 millimeter, less lethal. So there's a lot of stuff going on.
Can you see
But just prior to that, by the way, somebody yelled, "She's got a gun."
that gun?
Can't see it. Can't see it. Hey, you got a shield we can front? I can't see what's behind there. We got a 40 for that window. I need a 37.
37!
Get your hands out. I need a 37. One hand. One hand.
Show me your hands!
I got a 40.
Bust it!
Okay, you heard a female voice yell, "I got a 40," which is a 40 millimeter. It's a less lethal firearm, a weapon that can propel a less lethal, like a little canister that has like a gel-like substance. It's a chemical. It causes a chemical reaction when it hits the person, and hopefully they'll get up. I mean, you can hear her revving her engine, her being the suspect. She's blocked in at this point. I think through 2 or 3 different methods, or 2 or 3 different points, she's blocked in.
Question from the chats: if they shot her, how would she be able to show her hands? Is this a reasonable request at this point? Have they maybe seen that they've missed her? Was the revving the engine the indication that she was going away? Do we just need her to show her hands anyway? I mean,
I think that's a very valid question. It's a great point. It's but think about next time you hear there were 16 shots fired. So there's no real requirement other than in any use of force, the goal is to eliminate the threat. And it's not necessarily to kill, so to speak, but to eliminate, to gain control of the threat, right? And if they're yelling, "Show me your hands, show me your hands," obviously they still see movement. And there are also times when there's an officer involved shooting, they've shot several times, they'll bluff by saying, "Let me see your hands, let me see your hands." It doesn't mean that they're going to shoot some more. It doesn't mean anything other than, "Let me see your hands," to see if the person's going to fall for that, or if they're just going to willingly give up and show their hands. If there's no movement whatsoever, this is when they have to renegotiate or figure out their plan of attack. Do we get behind a shield and move forward and try to, move in to handcuff the person to get them the medical help immediately? Or if they still see her moving around in there, the "show me your hands" is still valid. So they may have shot, but they may not have necessarily shot her. They may have shot into the car, but they may not have shot her, and they don't know that yet.
I don't know how well this applies to the situation, but something they teach you as a crisis negotiator, and then, because you're usually working hand in hand with the tactical team, but you have to have a plan and be ready for spontaneous surrender at any time. You could be talking on the phone and they say, "Ah, fuck it, I give up," and they walk out. And if the TAC team's not ready for that, then all of a sudden you just have someone there. So, and also just giving those directions, like come out, give up. They might just change their mind. So sometimes "show me your hands" is another way of saying surrender, where it doesn't make their ego stand up and say, "Ah, to hell with you, I'll never be taken alive. Just show me your hands." That's a surrendering gesture.
I really don't think that there's any statistics or data that could tell you how many people play possum and how many people are actually incapacitated. You know what I mean? It's just, so we just train, "show me your hand." Like just keep the dialogue going, keep talking to them. And you'll figure out from there whether, what you're going to need to do from there. Yeah. Like you'll figure it out from there.
Another one. Show us your hands.
I still see something black in her hand.
I still see something black in her hand, is what that one officer just said.
Guys, a big twist is coming, in case you wondered, but a classic Comm Center twist.
Here is the body-worn camera video from the second officer who fired his handgun. It should be noted that the officer's body-worn camera was not activated until after the shooting occurred, so this footage does not have audio.
Police officer still on scene, red and blues all over the place. It's a bit of a to-do on the side of the road here.
Beautiful sunset.
Oh, I know, gorgeous. More shots being fired from a pistol.
Here is the body-worn camera footage from the final officer involved in the shooting, who discharges his shotgun. Since the deployment of the 40 millimeter did not remove the glass, an officer used an OC spray Mark 9 canister to deliver an irritant into the car to coax the woman out. OC spray is an irritant that disrupts and disorients the intended target, as well as delivers pain compliance. Here is the body-worn camera footage of the OC spray Mark 9 deployment.
This is going to take me back to my days in prison, Drew. I love the Mark 9.
Hey, I'm gonna dump some Mark 9 in there.
Yep.
Here, cover me.
Yep, cover.
So he sprays right directly into that back window, which has been decimated by bullets. Yeah, but there might be enough air in there for the dog, or we don't know where the dog is. The dog might
Hopefully the dog ran away. Yeah.
After the OC spray.
People don't realize also when you use OC spray or OC foam, you're affected by that too. It's
everybody
not like you're
else
immune
is.
to it. Yeah, everybody gets a taste.
They're lucky to be outside. I will say that using it inside prison, we have these huge exhaust fans. But on one occasion, there was one guy who he's been in prison his whole life. And this spray didn't affect him anymore because he's getting sprayed like every third day. We're getting ready to go in on him because he's just refusing to cuff up, covering his cameras. And the captain says to us, this is really going to hurt us more than him. You guys want to forego it? And we're all just like, yes. And then we just went in there and physically got him without the spray. We didn't even wait around for that.
Officers forced open the driver's door window. The woman got out of the car through the open window and was taken into custody. Even during this portion, the woman continued to not be fully compliant.
Tommy, I'm off. Break that window.
All of it.
Get your hands up. Let's go.
Crawl out the window. Crawl out the window. You need to crawl out the window now. Crawl out the window. We will get you medical help. You need to crawl out the window. Keep crawling out. Keep crawling out.
Hey, hold on. Don't run up there. Do not run up there.
Crawl out. All the way. Stop reaching and crawl out.
Back here.
Crawl out the window.
Team back there.
Start crawling out. Who has gloves?
I got gloves. I got 2 gloves.
We're pushing up.
Hands on your head.
Hands on your head. Ready? Pull your ass. Pull.
Put your fucking hands behind your back.
Get her hand.
Oh, it's clear. Keep laying on it.
Pull that hand. Get your arm underneath her elbow.
Yep.
Dig it underneath on the street side. There you go.
Officers provided medical aid to the woman until the Phoenix Fire Department arrived. She was taken to the hospital where she was treated for her injuries. The object, believed to be a handgun that the woman had, was found on scene. It was later determined to be a butane lighter.
A butane
fake
lighter.
gun. Yet again, another person, and I don't mean to make light of this, but going full Tamir Rice, what happens? What's my favorite quote from the community? Fact, and 100% of all fake gun-related shootings, the victim is always the one with the fake gun.
Yeah, and this looks particularly Good.
It looks exactly like something like in the blister pack that it came in and said, "Get yourself shot tonight." Buy this lighter, this butane lighter. And how is this cool? Like you tried. No, I love smoking. I
Certain
wish I could
Death.
smoke. But you're gonna light it with this gun or whatever? Come on.
Certain Death was the company that produced this thing.
Certain Death butane lighter.
It even says something like Hellcat or something.
I know it says like Death Machine on the side or something, but
Right.
that
So
is
it looks
very
like a
convincing.
Semi-automatic gun. It looks like there's a what the normal citizen would call a clip. But there looks like a magazine.
I would say a subcompact 22 is what if I would even identify that as a gun. If I was watching this and I didn't pay close attention and I wasn't listening to the audio, I'd be like, oh, that's the gun she had. How is a police officer supposed to see that in a car at twilight from a vehicle trying to get away and think I should not shoot this person?
Yeah, I mean, unless she lights a cigarette with it in front of you.
Well, even then, I don't know the motion of going like this. I mean, guys, this is your express bus pass to the cemetery. Do not use one of these.
Yep, and you can see there's little blood droplets on it and whatever. So it was beyond the black object. I mean, one guy correctly identified she's got a gun. It just so happens that it's not a firearm by statute, but this is like. How are they supposed to make this determination? And Graham versus Connor tells us we can't. You can't make that judgment in hindsight. You have to do what a reasonable officer would do in the moment. So this is how people get put, full of lead because they pull lighters. And I don't know if she was doing her own SBC suicide by cop.
Maybe
maneuver, or if she
came this close. I mean, it's a miracle that she's alive. They shot at her with both a shotgun and a pistol, and it was all for this non-compliance and this butane lighter. Like, what's going on with this lady? The same question I ask in reference to my guy out on the interstate. Or the guy that was passed out in the vehicle earlier today. I mean, I haven't had this exact situation because I'm not a street cop at Phoenix. But why are these things happening? Why are people acting so stupidly and so recklessly?
It's almost done. Hold on. There's an epilogue to this.
There's an epilogue, guys.
2 officers involved in this incident are assigned to the Tactical Support Bureau and each have approximately 17 years of service with the department. The other officer is assigned to the South Mountain Precinct and has approximately 5 years with the department.
I just wanted to put a little bow on that.
I just couldn't believe that this was yet another case of fake gun. We're if there's one more, we'll be able to have our own sub series like we did with Sarah Boone or whatever, but Comm Center's greatest fake guns. Like that'll be.
We should do that. We should do the series on knives. We have a good 3 knife episode. I tried to get everybody to predict what the 911 call was going to be about or what ended up happening. And it was three twists and turns that, it just threw people. We had a great game show one night that we need to recreate.
That Jeopardy one was awesome. I'm really good at writing Jeopardy clues. But Drew, my thanks to you for putting together the assets this week. Thanks for sharing everything from the cops thing. Thanks for letting me talk about my job a little bit on the air. I appreciate all that you're doing on behalf of the Thin Gold Line out there. And thanks for having meaningful dialogues. And it's really fun. I can't believe that we've almost been independent for a year now. I was remembering this time last year, heading into November, and things were kind of wrapping up, and it's just flown by.
It has. And
very, very, very concise. It has flown by. Good night.
Yeah, it has. Good night, everybody. Think of this, John. We always joke about 100 episodes. This is probably going to be like, if you take out, the 6 shows you do a week on this channel, this is probably our 100th episode. Because 52, we only missed one each year, which is a pretty good, like we missed last week because I was doing.
We're easily at 100, I'm sure. Should we have done a 100th episode spectacular where we just call Will Craig?